Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Erica and I'm so glad that you are here for today's video because it is time for another crafting tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to turn your old boring pens into gorgeous glitter pens using UV resin. So I did a glitter pen tutorial using regular epoxy resin a long time ago, but since then I've learned a couple of new tricks and I'm also trying out some new products. For one, I've finally found some UV resin that I am so happy with. So instead of taking several days to make these pens, I've cut it down to 1 day with the UV resin. And I also came across a super cool like pen making kit at Hobby Lobby that I wanted to share with you guys. So with that, I'm so stoked to show you guys how I made these beautiful pens. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright y'all, so for this craft you're going to need quite a bit of supplies, but it really just depends on how you're going to be decorating your pens. So we are using this pen turner attachment that we got from Hobby Lobby. It basically just came with this little piece that is going to go on your turner just like so, and it's going to hold your pens in place. It also came with some metal rods and some little silicone like rubber plastic caps that go on the ends of the rods to hold the pens in place. And like I said, I did get this from Hobby Lobby and it is $9.99, so not too bad. And I used to use those Inkjoy pens that everybody uses, but when I saw these at Hobby Lobby for about the same price, I mean these are $9.99 for a pack of 12 multicolor ones, but I decided to go with these instead of the Inkjoy pens because you'll notice that they, number one, don't have like the little clip that goes on the side of the pens that you have to clip off and sand off. That's why I went with these, but to each their own. Use whatever you're comfortable using. We're also going to be using this UV resin that I've never tried before, so fingers crossed. It had decent reviews on Amazon, so I ordered a pack of this UV resin and it comes with 4 of these bottles with like little applicator tips. But you can also just use regular epoxy resin. That's what I used to use, but I want to try some UV resin so that we can get these pens done faster. We're also going to be using some acrylic paints and mixing it with some Elmer's glue in these little mixing cups with some popsicle sticks. And they wouldn't be glitter pens without our glitter, but we're also going to be using some alcohol inks as well. And as always, I recommend that you use gloves for this. And we're also going to be using our tumbler turner and a little UV lamp. Alright, so I've went ahead and opened up my UV resin, and like I said, they come with these little applicator tips that have a screw-on cap, so that's nice. Alright, so now that we have our pens opened up, now we are going to take apart the pens that we are going to be decorating today, and you do need to take them completely apart. So I'm going to set all of these pieces aside until we are completely done with the pens, and then we can assemble them back together. Alright, so I'm only going to be doing 4 different pens for myself today because we're going to be doing them all just a little bit differently. Okay, so now that we have all of our pens disassembled, now we're going to put them on these little metal rods with the little silicone rubber tips so that we can start working on them. Okay, so here's the little rubber silicone pieces. So you just put your pen on it, and then you're going to slide on the little rubber piece on the end there. I'm just going to push that pen up to it. And it's also going to help with not getting any of that UV resin down in our pen also. So that's a huge plus for me. And then you're just going to slide another one on the other end all the way down to where that pen is. And I'm just going to set it down and kind of press it down on the table so we can make sure that those rubber pieces are in the pen and it's super secure and not going to come undone while it's turning. So that's what it looks like when it is all assembled. And then from here, once we're done working on it, it's ready to just go right onto the turner like so. Okay, so now that our pens are on the little rods, now we're ready to start decorating them. Alright, so now we're going to be prepping our acrylic paints that we're going to be painting our pens with. So I've just poured a tiny amount of acrylic paint in there, and then I'm going to use this Elmer's glue, and that's basically just going to help the glitter really adhere to the pens. Now, I've seen a ton of people do this a million different ways. You can use Mod Podge, you can use some glossy spray paint. I've even seen people not do any paint or glue or Mod Podge, and they just go right in with UV resin and then glitter right over it. But I really wanted to try out this method. I'm just going to be pouring in some glue in with our acrylic paint, not much, and then we're just going to take our popsicle stick and blend it thoroughly. All right, so this first one I'm going to be painting with the white glue mixture, and you can either use your finger, a paintbrush, a popsicle stick, a sponge brush, it really doesn't matter. We're just going to be coating this pen all the way over, and you got to work kind of quick before the paint and glue start drying. So now I'm going to set that aside, and I'm just going to sprinkle some of this opal iridescent white glitter right over that wet paint. And if I was keeping this pen white, I would probably recommend doing a second coat once this all dries of the paint and glitter one more time. But because we are going to be covering this with alcohol ink, it doesn't really matter in this case. You just need a nice little base coat there. Okay, and then this one we are also doing half white. So I'm going to paint about half of this with that same white glue mixture. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and set this one aside because this one we will need to do a second coat on it. So I'm just going to let it dry and then we'll come back to it. Okay, the pink pen I am doing pink glitter on. So we're going in with that pink acrylic paint. Isn't that turquoise so pretty? Okay, so this one that we were doing like a white ombre on, I'm just gonna go over with the Elmer's glue, just like a nice thin little layer, and I'm just going to add some more white glitter to that. Pro tip, make sure your glitter is completely dry before you do this, otherwise you will just be kind of like smudging it around all over, making it super lumpy. Okay, I'm gonna set this one aside to dry again. Okay, so with this pink and turquoise one, I don't need to do a second layer of glitter. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some clear gloss spray paint and just do a super, super light coat around all of this glitter just to seal it in before we are ready to add our UV resin. All right, so I'm gonna set these aside until that spray paint completely dries, and then we will be ready to add our UV resin to these. Okay, so this pen that we only did half white, we're gonna take our turquoise paint and just paint the end here and kind of blend it in. And we'll be adding some turquoise glitter right over this paint. So now we have a pen that is ombre white to turquoise. So I'm gonna set this aside to let it dry. Okay, so with this one that is completely white, we are going to be doing a really cool tie-dye looking pen. So I'm not going to be adding our clear gloss spray paint over our glitter yet. Now I'm going to be adding some alcohol inks right over this white glitter. So basically you're going to use 3 different alcohol ink colors, but you want to kind of get like the primary colors. Mine are a little bit off, like I'm not using red, I'm using this pink alcohol ink, and instead of using a blue, I'm using this like ocean green turquoise type color. And then I'm also going to be using some yellow alcohol ink. So basically we're just going to be dripping the alcohol ink and kind of turning our pen at the same time, creating like a spiral line all the way down. And then we'll be adding the next color and the next color, and some of the colors will blend, but in the end it'll kind of give it like a tie-dye looking effect. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my yellow alcohol ink and I'm going to put it right up against all of that pink. So then some of it is going to blend in and it's kind of going to make it look like there's pink, orange, and yellow, but we're just using pink and yellow. Okay, and then we're going to go in with our last color, which I actually decided I'm going to do a blue alcohol ink. So basically anywhere where you still see white, that's where you're going to add your last color. All right, and there it is. So now I'm going to set this aside to completely dry. Okay, and then on this pen that we did the half white, half turquoise, we're going to go in with this like light brown alcohol ink. It's called Latte, and we're just going to be making some cowhide. All right, and there we go. Now we have cow print going on, so I'm going to set that aside to completely dry. All right, y'all, so now that the alcohol ink is completely dried, now we're going to take our clear gloss spray paint and spray over this tie-dye pen and our cow print pen. All right, so I'm just going to let these pens completely dry now, and then we'll be ready to add our UV resin. All right, guys, so now for the fun part. Now we're going to be adding our UV resin over our pens. So we're just going to do a nice like thin coat over this. We're probably going to have to do 2 or 3 coats, but the key to not having like lumpy pens is to do nice thin even coats and then sanding in between each coat. Okay, so now we're going to hold it underneath our little UV lamp. Usually the pen cures within 4 to 6 minutes. So we're just going to hold it underneath here and kind of just gradually turn it. Alright guys, so this UV pen is completely cured to the touch. So now I'm just going to take a sanding block and I'm just going to lightly sand any of these bumps. Okay, and then I'm just going to spritz it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol to get the sanded like dust off of it, and we're just going to let that rubbing alcohol completely dry. Once it's dry, we're going to add our second coat of UV resin. Okay, so we're going to add our second coat of resin. Okay, and I'm just going to repeat that process on all of the pens. And this turquoise pen actually has a little bit off the top that we need to sand down. So I went ahead and took off that little rubber tip so that we could sand off that excess. Okay, so good as new. I'm just going to put that cap back on. And now that we have sanded our pen, we can add our second layer of UV resin to this one. Alright y'all, so my pens are completely cured to the touch, but some of them still feel just a tiny bit bumpy, so they'll definitely need another coat of UV resin. But some of these, like this pink one and turquoise one, they aren't bumpy at all. They are super smooth, but we're not done with them because I'm going to decorate them a little bit further. We are going to be painting on some turquoise leopard spots on this pink pen, and we're going to be painting some pink leopard spots on this turquoise pen. I'm not going to be adding anything to the cowhide or the tie-dye pen. I think they are gorgeous as is, but they will definitely need another coat of UV resin. So I'm gonna set this one aside with the other one and let them completely dry. So now that these pens are dry, we are ready to do another coat of UV resin on all of these pens. So I just took this pen off of its little rod and there's a tiny bit of excess UV resin right there. So I'm just going to sand that off. Alrighty, now we are going to put it back on and add another coat of UV resin to this pen now. Alright y'all, so our pens are nice and smooth and perfect. So now we're going to take off the little caps here and take them off the rod and assemble them back together. And some of them might have a tiny bit of UV resin with that last coat that we did. So I just have a piece of like sandpaper here and I'm just going to sand any like jagged edges off before I assemble it back together. And I do recommend sanding your ends before you reassemble them. Otherwise, sometimes the like clicker part of the pen will get kind of like stuck inside if there's anything in there or around it. So this one's completely done, so we can go ahead and put this one back together. All right, so we're gonna put the little silver clicker piece back on this tiny little white piece right here. It just goes right on there. And then we can just drop it in the pen. And then we're gonna put the actual ink and a little spring at the top there and drop that right in over the clicker. And then lastly, the little cap just goes right over that spring and you just screw it back on. One down, 3 more to go. Beautiful. Now I have some like matching pens that like match my branding and business colors. So cute. I think they came out amazing and I am in love with these pens. Alright you guys, well that is where I'm gonna leave you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I did. If you did like it, please let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop a comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys think. And don't forget, I will be linking all the supplies down in the video description below for you guys. And if you're watching this video but you're not already subscribed to my channel, then make sure you click that subscribe button so that you don't miss out my future videos. I would greatly appreciate the follow. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.